Thanks for coming back to get your breakdown for UFC Fight Night 130, UFC Liverpool. Last week I tried to screen share and unfortunately it didn't switch over. So I'm gonna slowly get over there right now to make sure I'm sharing my screen as I talk about my notes with you. So bear with me for 1 second. All right, I believe I'm sharing now. And we want to be right here. Okay? So here we go. We're ready to go here. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break down the Fight Pass Prelims and the FS1 Prelims. So I'm going to break down 6 fights for you. DK prices, DraftKings prices are not out yet, but the betting lines did drop. And based on what I kind of pre-lined, the nice thing about this is I pre-lined what I thought these fights would drop at, and there's a substantial difference in a couple of these fights. So I'll let you know what I'm looking at, what I may play, and also where some line movement, where I expect some line movement to come through. So let's get started. We got 6 fights here. First fight. Sorry, this is switching over here. First fight is Gina Mazzani and Lina Lansberg. And Lansberg has fought the better competition, but has looked really bad in doing so. So she fought Cyborg. I believe it was a catch weight. I believe it was at 140. I didn't write that down, but I'm pretty sure it was at 140. And she lost to Cyborg by KO, TKO. I mean, she basically looked terrible. She was covering up, against the fence most of that fight. She's 1-2 in the UFC. I mean, she did lose to 2, flat out killers. Cyborg, basically destroyed her. She gave a game effort against Aspen Ladd, but Aspen Ladd just basically took over the fight in the second round, and she really had nothing for her. Aspen Ladd was able to take her down and finished her after she was in mount. So Aspen Ladd is heavy when she's on top, so I can understand why that happened. In this fight, she may have the striking advantage. She is a Muay Thai champ. She has some heavy kicks. She likes to clinch. She does some good clinch work. She has some good knees in the clinch. But overall, I'm not very impressed with Lansberg. She's 5'7". She'll have a 1-inch reach advantage, but she actually doesn't have the 1-inch height advantage. I'm sorry, but she actually has a 3-inch. Gina Mazzani has the 3-inch reach advantage. She was overweight, Gina Mazzani, when she came in against McMann. McMann was -600 versus Gina Mazzani, and she basically, destroyed her, wrestled her to the ground, and submitted her. She's a lefty, striking, grappling, aggressive. She really empties the gas tank, Gina Mazzani. Got pushed against the fence a little bit. But she's a volume striker, and she goes for takedowns. So in some of our other fights where she was, more in the fight, more than the McMann fight, she was able to strike. She threw a ton of strikes, and was able to get some takedowns. So I think this is a toss-up fight. And when the line dropped, I was actually very surprised to see Lansberg as the favorite. I would have thought that maybe Mazzani was the favorite, or it was basically a pick 'em, but Lansberg came in at -150. So I kind of like Gina Mazzani on DraftKings. I actually picked her to win this fight. I'm just not impressed with Lansberg. And again, Mazzani's only loss was to Sarah McMann, although she did get completely destroyed. I just don't really see much of an advantage for Lina Lansberg. And I think Mazzani really, she gets after it. You can tell during the fight she wants to win. She's going to try to take you down. She's going to do a couple different things, to try to win the fight. And Lina just seems like she's just in there to throw a couple punches and then get out of there. And I didn't see a winning attitude from her in the fights that I saw. Again, 2 of the fights that I watched, she was completely outmanned, but this is one of the fights that I was just surprised when I saw the line. So I'm going to go Gina Mazzani. I think DK prices didn't drop yet, but if it doesn't swing too much, I think I like Gina Mazzani and DraftKings also. Next fight, and again, this fight is on the Fight Pass Prelims. Elias Theodorou versus Trevor Smith. There's really not much for me to say here. Trevor Smith is a wrestler. He has some good BJJ. He's 37 years old. I just don't really see, what his path to victory is in this fight. He's not knocking out Elias Theodorou. I really don't think he's going to be able to get his hands on him and wrestle him. I think Theodoro is going to be stronger. I think Theodoro is better everywhere. He's a dynamic striker. He has great cardio. Very active. Let me actually move over to the Theodoro matchup here. And again, that I thought he was better everywhere. I didn't think that Trevor Smith would have any chance to really win this fight. And then when the line dropped, Theodoro's minus 420. So again, I think Theodoro is on the Fight Pass Prelims to try to get people to tune in and watch, being that he is the ring boy in some of the other fights, not UFC fights, but some of the other fights on his free time. I think he does some modeling too. So I think that's what they basically do. They put this fight on the Fight Pass early prelims to get viewers to watch. I think he's going to be better everywhere. I'm going to go Theodoro. I think this is a decision fight though. I don't think he's going to get a finish here. So with that being said, I don't think it's a great play for DraftKings because I'm pretty sure Theodoro is going to come in, at maybe 9.4K, 9.5K. That's just way too high of a price for a guy who isn't going to get a finish. I really just don't see a finish coming. So I would fade this fight on DraftKings, and I actually probably wouldn't bet it either. Maybe the over, if over 2.5 comes out at a playable price, which I really don't think it will, based on these guys' in past performances. So I don't even think that over price would make sense. So for me, Theodoro by decision. Now we're going to the FS1 Prelims. Okay, and this is a pretty good fight. Molly McManus is making her UFC debut. She fights in Cage Warriors. She was actually the first Cage Warriors flyweight champ and passed on the opportunity to go to the Ultimate Fighter to be able to go to Cage Warriors and compete for that championship. Very good striker, 5'5", short, stocky, strong base. She's kind of difficult to take down. In the clinch, she has some big knees. She's a striker. And she knocks people out. She wins by KO. She's 7-1, making her UFC debut. I can see this fight. I can see this being a toss-up, but it's a toss-up in the way that, styles make fights, and Molly McCann is very good on the feet, and Jillian Robertson is very good on the ground. So if Jillian Robertson can get Molly McCann down to the ground, she can submit her. She can finish this fight and submit her. Jillian Robertson is more a counter striker, so I expect Molly McCann to push the pace and Robertson to counter strike. And her striking does look weak though, but she looks to go for takedowns off of her strike. So she'll counter strike, goes for takedowns off of Molly McCann's moving forward. I would assume she's going to be going for takedowns, and she looks to go after subs. So I'm going to pick, I personally think this is a toss-up fight. I really think this can go either way. If the fight stays in the feet, Molly McCann is going to be okay. I just don't know where her BJJ is. I've watched a couple of those Cage Warrior fights. I didn't really see her go to the ground other than to just ground and pound people after she kind of knocked them down. Going to the ground with someone who's game on the ground and has BJJ finishing skills, I really don't know. So I think Jillian Robertson is a live dog here. The line, this is another one that, I thought it was a toss-up, and the line came in, big money on Molly McCann. She's minus 245, where Robertson is plus 175. So I don't fault you for playing Molly. This is her UFC debut, basically in her home country. But Jillian Robertson, I do like a lot. I think that she could get the sub here, so I think this is a dangerous fight to really really go after Molly McCann. But by the same token, I also think this is a GPP fight. You know, unlike the last two fights that I think are going to end in decision, I think this fight can finish. McCann can finish by KO, TKO, and I think Robertson can finish by sub. So maybe even a prop play there, you know, quarter unit prop play on either one of those finishes. And I'm going to go McCann, but I don't like the price. I wouldn't put a bet on it. All right. And in DraftKings, I think this is a GPP fight. So you can go either way in a GPP. But Robertson's a great low-price GPP. I may play her in my cash lineup. Next fight. This I think is going to be a good fight. I was actually talking with a couple people on Twitter when the lines first dropped today. And, you know, a couple things that I noticed. I did my tape study earlier in the day. And, again, I really just didn't know who was going to be the favorite in this fight. I thought it was going to be a close fight. So when I saw the line come out, I was a little surprised. Again, Carlo Peter Soli is, I believe he lives in the United States, but he's Italian. I'm not sure if he's fighting over in Italy. I'm not sure exactly where his background. He may have been born in the United States, but I think he lives in Rome now. I think that was the story that I read. But he's minus 210, and I'm just surprised that he's such a big favorite over Brad Scott. Brad Scott is plus 160. So Peter Soli, his normal fighting weight is 170. Brad Scott had fought at 170 in the past. I believe he lost to Robert Whitaker at 170 a few years ago, but now he's going back down to 170. He had fought a bunch of fights, and I'm talking like 4 or 5 fights at 185, and now he's going back down. So he lost to guys like Jocko by decision, which is actually a pretty good loss by decision. He lost to Hermanson. He actually got grounded out. He got himself in a really bad spot and got ground and pound KO'd in that fight. I think this is a close fight. So I really like Brad Scott in this fight. I'm going to pick him to win over Peter Soli. Peter Soli is a very good fighter. I really like him. The thing that really concerns me with him, he's 24 years old. He fights out of Rome. So, again, this is his UFC debut. He had a very, very tough fight against Nicholas Dalby literally a month ago. When he fights this Sunday, date-wise, it won't even actually be a full month. And he got hit with some big shots by Dalby. Peter Soli's athletic, dynamic. He's a southpaw, karate, BJJ. But he won a 3-round decision, a tough, hard-fought 3-round decision against Dalby literally 4 weeks ago. So we're talking about, you know, he got rocked. He will take you down. He has a good straight left, has a good straight right. Right hook, big left combo, will clinch up. And he had a left head kick to Dalby. I'm surprised that Dalby wasn't knocked out on this head kick. He basically ducks his head to the right and has a left kick up to the head, changed levels, like kind of brought Dalby's level down with the head fake. It was literally like, I'm a basketball guy. It was basically like a basketball head fake. He faked right and down with his head, and then the left foot came up and just, you know, leveled Dalby. And Dalby's tough. Dalby beat Zaleski. He has 4 UFC fights under his belt, and he actually had a draw with Darren Till. I think it was like 4 years ago. So it was when Till was younger, but you know, this is a tough fight. He lost to Cummings and Sabata, but you know, this is a real tough fight. You know, these guys have fought some good guys. I just thought the line would be a little bit closer. So on DraftKings, I think Brad Scott is a great play. He's also going back down to 170, so he kind of tinkered with going up to 185. Had a little bit of success up there, but did lose to Hermanson. I believe that fight was at 185. So he's going back down to 170. Maybe check the weigh-ins, see if the weight is an issue for him. But again, Peter Soli, I don't know how much weight he loses, but you're talking about a guy who fought 4 weeks ago. If he had, I mean, he looks like a big guy. So I don't know how much weight he put on after that, and when he got the call for this fight. But if he got the call for this fight like 2 weeks ago, I'm sure he was training, but I'm sure weight's going to be an issue. So this may be something you want to look at weigh-ins also. There may be some strategy with maybe these guys not coming in at weight, or at least Peter Sold. All right, next fight here. We have Tom Breese. Let me change this over here so you can get a view of this. And Daniel Kelly. And I really like Tom Breese in this matchup. He's a southpaw going up to 185. So this is his first fight at 185. He's from England, Birmingham. He's a TriStar guy. Firas Zahabi, I believe, trains him still. Good boxing, good left-hand southpaw boxing, and BJJ, obviously Zahabi. Good left kicks, all levels, which I think his counter left hand is heavy, and when he has distance, his left kicks coming to all levels are going to be a problem. I think he can actually knock out Daniel Kelly, with a left high kick, or even really slow him down with a couple left good body shots, and maybe even work the body, with his boxing. Good combos, uses the jab, even double jab, has a couple different combinations. Then he'll go into two punch and 3-punch. I think he even had a 4-punch combination in the one fight that I saw. Really quick hands, good ring awareness. His only loss, he's 10-1. His only loss was to Sean Strickland, who actually had a tough loss. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Got knocked out, but I have a very high opinion of Sean Strickland. He's a real good fighter. But he was 10-1 at 185. I'm sorry, 10-1 at 170, and he's going up to 185 for his first fight. So his 10-1 record was at 170. 6 submissions too for Tom Breese. So again, who BJJ was legit. So he's going to have the height advantage by 3 inches. He's going to have the reach advantage by 3 inches. And Dan Kelly, he kind of has like a dad bod. He's a heavy 185. Kind of carries his weight differently than a lot of these other guys. Lefty, he's a judo guy. The 2 fights that I watched, like 2 or 3 of his fights. The thing is, some of his fights are real fast because he kind of gets knocked out early. So I'm going to call Tom Breese by first or second round KO. I'm going to say first round KO. And the 2 guys that I noticed he fought that were left-handed, Derek Brunson and Sam Alvey, they basically knocked him out within the first minute. So I don't know if it's something with lefties that he just can't see the punches coming, or maybe he only really works out against righties. I don't know what it is, but he's going to have to drastically change what he's doing, because he lost to both of these lefties by KO in the first round. And I think Tom Breese is going to be the 3rd one to get him. So I'm going to call a knockout in the first round in that fight. Let's go back to the last fight here. Claudio Silva and Nordine Taleb. And, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, Claudio Silva hasn't fought in, let's see when his last fight was. It was November 8th, 2014 was his last fight. He fought twice in the UFC. He has 2 decision wins in the UFC. He actually beat Leon Edwards by decision, which again was like over 4 years ago. So it was a very young Leon Edwards. I actually thought that Leon Edwards won the fight, but when I watched it today, but whatever, he did win the fight. But his 2 UFC fights went to decision. His 9 other fights all finished, 6 by subs and 3 by TKO KO. So Claudio Silva, he's a black belt in BJJ. I just don't know what we're going to get from him. He's had some lingering injuries. He will take you down. He's looking to do his BJJ. His striking is kind of weak. It's sloppy. He needs to clinch and go for takedowns. And the one thing that I noticed against Leon Edwards is he gassed. And again, at this point, he's 35 years old. So if he was gassing 3-4 years ago, I'm going to guess that he's still going to gas, and probably even worse. Now, Nordine Taleb, on the other hand, is from France, so he's actually a lot closer. He's over in Europe as it is. And I'm going to call for him most likely winning this by decision. Could KO him, could KO Silva, but I think it's going to go to decision. I think he's going to be able to stay on his feet. I don't think he's going to want to get down to the mat, which is the only reason why this may last a little bit longer into the 2nd or 3rd round or go to decision, because I think Silva's going to play the games, kind of lay on his back, try to get Taleb to go down to the mat with him. And I don't think he wants to do that. But Taleb is real big for 170 pounds. He can push Silva into the fence, rough him up, some dirty boxing. You just got to make sure that Silva doesn't get any trips on him and get him down to the ground. Good body kicks. And again, being that Silva is lefty, Taleb can put that right foot right into his ribs. It'll be nice and open, and he may even be able to finish him with a good liver kick. But he's going to outstrike Silva. Silva, I was not very impressed with his striking. He's going to outstrike Silva. He just has to stay off the ground, and I think he can easily win a decision here. But again, when it comes to the odds, let me just give you the odds. I don't think I gave you the odds on that Breeze fight either. So the odds, Taleb is minus 285, and Breeze is minus 265. So again, it looks like straightforward on the surface. Both of those two fights to finish, by in Breeze's case by KO, TKO, and in Taleb's case by decision. But again, for the most part, what are we looking at? We're looking at some big odds. I have no problem playing Breeze on DraftKings. I could easily play Breeze on DraftKings. I'm going to fade Kelly. I have no problem playing Taleb on DraftKings. Hopefully the price maybe goes down a little bit, doesn't go up too much more. If he's like in the 8.7, 8.8K range, that would be great. If he gets into the 9, 9.1, 9.2 range, now you're going to have some other options that I think may be better options. All right, so that basically does it for UFC Fight Pass early prelims and the FS1 prelims. Basically what we're going to do this week is we're going to do two, instead of having the 3 shows like last week, we're going to do the 2 shows. And the reason we're going to do that is basically because there's only 12 fights, and the Fight Pass prelims there's only 2 fights on that. So we did the 6 fights. I went over the 6 fights in this solo pod, DraftKings and everything else. Tomorrow night we'll be back on. The nice thing is all the prices dropped. If you're into the betting game, all the prices did drop. Hopefully tomorrow the DraftKings prices come out, although it's a Sunday card, so I'm a little bit worried if the DraftKings prices come out on Wednesday, I may not be able to get you my DraftKings plays for tomorrow. But for the most part, we can kind of figure out what they're going to be based on where the odds are at. All right. So hopefully come back tomorrow. Enjoy the show again. Again, Jersey Boys MMA Podcast.